Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Green Planet. This is your daily radio talk where we discuss the challenges facing our environment and what we can do to make a difference. I'm Emma, and joining me is my co-host, Jake.
Hi, Emma. Hi, listeners. Today, we're diving into a very important topic, climate change. It's 2024, and the world is facing some serious consequences because of it.
That's right, Jake. Climate change isn't just something scientists talk about anymore. We're all feeling its effects. This year alone, we've seen wildfires destroying forests in Canada, heat waves in Europe reaching over 45 degrees Celsius, and devastating floods in Southeast Asia.
And these are just the headlines. Behind every disaster are real people suffering, farmers losing their crops, families being forced to leave their homes, and ecosystems being destroyed.
It's heartbreaking. What's worse is that these events are happening more often and getting more intense because of global warming. Scientists have warned us for years that if we don't act, the planet will become increasingly unlivable.
And the root cause, human activities, burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas releases huge amounts of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere. These gases trap heat, causing the Earth to warm up.
Exactly. And it's not just about burning fuels. Deforestation, industrial farming, and overconsumption also play major roles. All of this is speeding up climate change and putting pressure on our planet.
But here's the good news, Emma. We can still do something about it. The question is, how? How can we stop climate change? Or at least slow it down?
Well, Jake, there's no single solution, but there are a lot of things we can do together. Let's start with renewable energy. Switching from fossil fuels to clean energy like solar, wind, and hydroelectric power is one of the most effective ways to reduce emissions.
Absolutely, and transportation is another big area. Electric vehicles are becoming more popular, but we also need to focus on improving public transportation, building bike-friendly cities, and encouraging walking.
And let's talk about nature. Protecting and restoring forests is critical. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and help regulate the climate. Did you know some countries are launching huge reforestation projects to combat climate change?
That's great to hear, and speaking of nature, oceans are just as important. They absorb a lot of the carbon dioxide we produce, but pollution and overfishing are damaging marine ecosystems. Protecting our oceans should be a global priority.
Jake, I think we also need to talk about waste. Reducing waste is something everyone can do. Recycling, reusing items, and cutting down on single-use plastics can make a big difference.
And don't forget food. Agriculture is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. Reducing meat consumption, wasting less food, and supporting sustainable farming can help lower emissions.
You're right, but while there are so many solutions, it's not always easy to implement them. For example, switching to renewable energy can be expensive, and not all countries have the resources to do it.
That's a huge challenge, Emma. Developing countries often rely on cheap fossil fuels to grow their economies. They might not be able to afford clean energy without help from richer nations.
And then there's the issue of politics. Some leaders and governments still deny the seriousness of climate change or prioritize economic growth over the environment.
It's frustrating, but that's why public awareness is so important. When people understand the problem, they can push for change. Voting for leaders who support green policies is one way to make a difference.
That's true, Jake, and it's not just about governments. Businesses also need to step up. Many companies are still polluting heavily because it's cheaper than investing in sustainable practices.
But Emma, we're seeing some positive changes. More companies are pledging to go carbon neutral, and consumers are demanding eco-friendly products. The pressure is growing, and that's a good thing.
Definitely, but we need to act faster. Scientists say we have less than a decade to prevent the worst effects of climate change. If we don't limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, the consequences will be catastrophic.
So, Emma, let's sum it up. What's the ultimate goal here?
The ultimate goal is to create a sustainable world, a world where we reduce emissions, protect nature, and live in harmony with the planet. It's about ensuring a safe and healthy environment for future generations.
Well said, Emma. Before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with some actionable tips. What can they do to help fight climate change?
Great idea. First, try to save energy at home, turn off lights, unplug devices, and use energy-efficient appliances. Second, reduce waste. Start recycling, avoid single-use plastics, and compost food scraps.
Third, think about your transportation. Walk, bike, or use public transport whenever you can. And if you drive, consider switching to an electric car.
And finally, speak up, talk to friends and family about climate change, join local environmental groups, and push for change in your community.
Every small action matters. Together, we can make a big difference.
Thanks for joining us on the Green Planet. Remember, the future of our planet is in our hands. Let's work together to make it green and healthy.
See you next time, everyone. Let's keep fighting for a better world.
Bye for now.